Professor Virgilia Amedio is from the Federal University of Minas Gerais in Brazil. He will be talking to us on social and ethical impacts of algorithms. This is a very important session too for us, and I hope you will listen attentively and have a nice time. Thank you. Over to you, Professor Almeida.
Thank you, Professor Bolani. It's really a pleasure to be here to speak to our colleagues from Africa and from different parts of the world. I would like to thank Tian and Tuos for inviting me to give this keynote talk today. I will be talking about the impact of algorithms, the social and ethical impacts of algorithms. And I'm going to use a set of slides to illustrate the problems that we see and also what are possible solutions for this problem. So I'm going to share my screen with you. So just 1 minute. All right. Yes. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, thank you. So let me start this. Yes. So I'm from Brazil. I'm a professor of computer science at the Federal University of Minas Gerais, and I'm also a member of the Brazilian Academy of Sciences. So the title of my talk is Social and Ethical Impacts of Algorithms. So one thing that we have observed is the growing role of algorithm in our life. And that was a kind of a phenomenon that we have been observing for a long time. But after the COVID-19, we see that all of us spend a lot of time on different platforms doing communication with colleagues, working, shopping, meeting people, chatting. So we see that those platforms have an important role in the current world. And we also think that in the future, we will continue to rely on those big platforms to do our work, to live with the constraints imposed by COVID-19. But at the same time that we enjoy the convenience and also the services provided by platforms, we see a lot of problems related to them. We see these are headline news from different media, and we see problems with privacy violation, surveillance, discrimination, also dissemination of disinformation. So we see a very confusing scenario for the online world. And if we look into these platforms, there are some characteristics that are important to emphasize. These are platforms that all of us use several times a day. WhatsApp, Google Search, the Facebook, Apple Siri, Amazon Alexa, Uber, Airbnb, Netflix recommendation. These platforms, they have three important characteristics. The first one is that they are run by algorithms. The second one is that they take decisions for us. For instance, when you open your Facebook newsfeed or your Twitter timeline, you see a number of posts, and those posts were selected by an algorithm. So the algorithms are capable of showing what we should read influencing our shopping preferences, influencing our video preferences or movies. Also, they try to show us different information that could be related to political aspects. So the first thing is these platforms are run by algorithm. The second one, the decision-making process is also automatic. And the third one that is really important is that all of them collect a lot of data. They collect data from us, they collect data from our preference, and they create profiles. Those profiles are used for selling our data to advertisers. But one thing that we should be more concerned, in addition to the current concerns, is that we anticipate that many public services and also financial services, banking and healthcare services, they will rely on those platforms or on similar platforms for the future. And that may bring some problems, in particular for the most vulnerable parts of the population. So let's take a look at these problems. So I would say that my concern here is that digital technologies are reshaping the future of humans. And we see that artificial intelligence algorithms that have enabled many convenience and advanced services, they quietly begin to drive humans away, taking a greater role on managing our economy, transportation, defense, healthcare, and personal life. That is one of the big reasons. So we need to discuss what are the roles of digital technology, in particular because they are able to make decisions based automatic and autonomous decisions made by algorithms. So we can see this if we look at the news these days. We see a lot of headlines showing the problems with algorithms. For instance, this is an article from The Guardian saying that Home Office to scrap racist algorithm for UK visa applicants. Another problem is that we are talking about very complex platforms. We call those platforms techno-social platforms. They are a kind of black box. We don't know how they take decisions, how they make decisions, and some decisions can harm parts of the society. Another example is this article that appeared in the New York Times. Is an algorithm less racist than a law officer? So these are concerns that people all over the world have and are observing. Another headline is social media giants support racial justice. Their products undermine it. We see this kind of problem recently in the political scenario in the US or in other countries. So I would like to show the evolution of AI algorithms and pinpoint some of the problems. We can start the evolution of the artificial intelligence algorithms looking at technology that made a rapid progress. For instance, content identification. An example is reverse image search. You can use an image to search the web or the internet. You can use a service called Shazam that identifies the music that are being aired. We have a lot of success in speech-to-text platforms. Also, medical diagnosis from images have been used by doctors in many parts of the world. And facial recognition, which is working but has some ethical problems. So a clear sign of the progress of this technology, we can look at this visual error rate, and we see that algorithms were less accurate than humans 5 years ago. They presented almost 25% of errors compared to 5% for humans in identifying images, different images. But in 2015, the algorithms became more accurate than humans, and the error rate is around 4 or 3%. So we see that there are clear and concrete progress in the use of image recognition by AI algorithms. The other thing is that there are algorithms that are improving a lot, but they are still far from perfection. Example, spam detection. They detect a lot of spam, but sometimes they present some false positives or false negatives. Automated essay grading, hate speech identification. It's a very complex problem. Platforms can identify part of this, of the volume of hate speech identification, but they are not so accurate that we can only rely on platforms. Some examples, for instance, Facebook uses AI to indicate or to identify, to pinpoint hate speech. But those automated problems have some errors. They have a hard time understanding context and culture, which is related to these hate speech problems. Recent in the UK, we saw a big fiasco of algorithmically assigned exam grades. And because of the students could not take the exams in person because of the COVID, they used an algorithm to estimate or to predict what would be the grades of those students. And that became a nightmare with a lot of unfair results for many students, in particular for students from the public schools. So, but we have algorithms, AI algorithms, being used in social issues, and they are those that produce more questionable results, such as predicting criminal recidivism or predicting terrorism risk. We see that those algorithms have, many studies have shown that those algorithms present a racial bias. And this was an article from the New York Times saying that wrongfully accused by an algorithm. So we see characteristics of a racial bias. Or in this facial recognition technology, it is accurate if you are a white guy. So those problems that were identified by society, by researchers, they need to be understood. That was an article from Nature showing that AI can be sexist and racist, and we need computer scientists to study what is happening with those algorithms in order to avoid bias and other discrimination aspects. A recent study published by the Proceedings of the National Academy of Science show racial disparities in automated recognition systems. We can see here the error, the words error rates for is converting speech into text, and black people, the system presents much more error than for white people. So we need to understand how those algorithms work, and most of them are protected by commercial or trade secrets. But we need to come up with techniques, methodologies to understand what is the impact of those algorithms. So at this point, I want to say that computer science, there are new roles for computer science in these times of technical social system, or in the times of those platforms that most of the world population use. So we can see computing as diagnostic to help to understand what is going on with those results of a decision-making, automatic decision-making process. We can also use computing to formalize what kind of process is being carried out by those systems in healthcare, in public services. Today, I'm going to show some examples of computing as detector of social issues. I have a group of students that work with me, and one of them, led by a young female researcher, she asked the following questions. Can we identify stereotypes for female physical attractiveness in the images available in the web? How do race and age manifest in the observed stereotypes? And how do stereotypes vary according to countries and region? She created robots that went to search engines in 42 countries, and he used some questions related to beautiful women or beautiful men, ugly women, and she collected the answers, images, and used some AI algorithm to identify race and age. So this study has had a lot of impact. It was published an article about it in the Washington Post, and the result that she found was image results for the Google search, ugly women are disproportionately black. And here are the data that are interesting. She had robots making questions for search engines in 42 countries in their respective languages, and she identified that for beautiful world, the majority of the images that came from the search were for white women, even when a country has almost the majority of the demographics as black. We can here, I think that we have here an example of Nigeria. So black, the perception in the web represented by the images showed that beautiful woman would be represented by white woman. And when she asked the question, ugly woman, she found that the proportion of black women increased a lot. So that was one of the interesting results to understand the kind of images that are shared on the internet, and also they have influence in this kind of stereotypes. Another problem that we have been looking at is the problem of hate speech. It's really important, and as showed the special advisor for the UN Secretary General on the prevention of genocide, hate speech was present in tragedies in Rwanda, Myanmar, Holocaust, Nazi, and fascism. So we wanted to understand a little bit more about how hate speech and radicalization disseminate on the platform. we have seen a lot of extremely or far-right movements around the world, in the US, in Europe. So our question here was, can we understand the effect of radicalization on YouTube comments and recommendation algorithms? So that was, this work had a lot of impact. So our work was auditing radicalization pathways on YouTube, and that was carried out by my students and one collaborator from EPFL. And my students examined 34 channels in YouTube, more than 300,000 videos and more than 72 million comments in order to identify how people move it from what called the light, right, the intellectual dark web or the alt-right, to more radical communities such as the alt-right, and we compared those with the media. And what we found is that there is a compelling evidence that many users undergo radicalization on YouTube. So we showed that the evolution of a big fraction of users on YouTube moving from light right to alt right, which is a more radical community. We did not find why this phenomenon happens, and on the platform we are studying that. So that's, I'm almost at the end of my talk, and we see that in order to understand the challenges of AI and the challenges of these big platforms that somehow drive our daily life, we need more transdisciplinary or multidisciplinary research. We need to bring social scientists, we need to bring people from humanities, we need to bring engineers and computer scientists to understand those problems. So the evolution of what we call the digital world, in the previous decades we saw a focus on infrastructure. On the last decade, we saw a lot of technical innovations in platform, in our recommendation algorithms. In this path to digital transformation, this decade will be marked by policies, regulation, and governance in order to create a more sustainable and fair environment. So this is the message that I want to bring to this important workshop, seminar promoted by Tuan, Tuos, and many other organizations. We need, societies need to work on policy, regulation, and governance of the digital world. Actually, we recently launched had a new book that is now out, is Governance for the Digital World, where I try to combine, we combine knowledge from social science and computer science in order to show some new ideas for governance of the digital world. So thank you for your time. Thanks for the organizers, and I'm ready to answer one or two questions.